Do you need an amazing waterproofing product? Look no more. Basecrete is the #1 cementitious 100% waterproofing membrane with a proprietary blend of polymers and specialized content. An easy-to-use, all-in-one waterproofing membrane and bond coat that provides exceptional strength and unparalleled adhesion, yet remains flexible to absorb movement and the underlying concrete structure. With its range of application, Basecrete is the ideal solution to protect or repair any concrete structure. For use in swimming pools, roofs, terraces, foundations, cellars, deck, etc. It adheres directly to the substrate. No primer, no bond coat. How easy is that? Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's Heather with Hump Days with Heather on the Talking Pools podcast. So today I have a special guest from Basecrete, and I will let him talk to you about who he is and this awesome new product that we've got coming out from them.
Hey guys, I'm Christopher Gainz, and I'm with Skin Microplaster and On Deck Waterproofing, which are Vito Mariano's brand new products for the market in the United States. And we're here to talk about Skin Microplaster predominantly today. But I said they're brand new products. Really, Vito's been developing for about a dozen years, so they're not new. And Skin Microplaster is an extremely versatile product. It's in the micro cement space, and it's organic, proprietary dry compounds mixed with special magic milk sauce created and patented by Vito Mariano. I don't know what's in it, but I know it won't hurt you, and I know it's got NSF certification. We have all the ASTM certifications, and we have all the ANSI ratings. And so in our world, Heather, we're using it predominantly to surface pools, and that could be a new construction pool, or that could be a replaster pool. In the Skin line, we have Skin Microplaster. We also have a product called Skin Foundation, and Skin Foundation is the beginning to make the shell perfect, and it's more I'd say it's analogous to grand piano finishing or auto body finishing than it is to what the average pool plasterer thinks about when they get ready to plaster a pool. So to clarify that a little bit, go in and chip out a pool, cut out below your tile lines, chisel down, get ready for your plaster, find your hollow spots, knock them out. With Skin Microplaster, we're coming back on with a very thin coating of our beautiful colors. And we want to make the surface as good as possible first. So we use a Skin Foundation, and we don't need to do all the prep work that you have to do to the extent that you need to do in a typical plaster remodel. And
so still remove hollows and chip down like normal, and
well,
what about if they?
No. So you want to remove hollows, and I usually drag a 9-foot chain around and find hollows and knock them off. Sometimes the plaster gets ruined when they're filling the pool, and it gets bath rings in it, or it gets leaf stains, and it's mottled, or they don't like it, and we can go pretty much right over that. But for the tile line, the chip down, we're only an 1/8 inch thick when we're finished of the Skin Microplaster, which is fully waterproofed and meets and exceeds all of the testing that Basecrete has.
He's made it. That's a waterproof underneath, and then add the skin, so the skin has the waterproof already built into it.
No, actually, if you use Skin, you don't need to use Basecrete first. So if you're going to just do a replaster on a pool, or plaster a pool, you put the Basecrete on, then you put in classic pool plaster, and then your vessel's waterproofed. If you use Skin, that is the waterproofing, and that's all you need. So it is the waterproofing, and it is beautiful. It comes in from yellows, reds, greens, blues.
So my client that wanted purple plaster, this would have been perfect at that time.
It would have been perfect. If the owner of Burger King ever wanted to do a whole outdoor space in orange, we could have that made for them. Yeah, it's incredibly vibrant colors. We post them on our social media at Skin Microplaster. And it's brand new to America. It's been being installed on projects in Italy, actually, for several years. And we've spent a lot of time, I hate it, but we had to spend months in Italy over the summer and dragging around Capri and all these fancy places and all these, great homes and looking at the jobs. So it's been, that's been the testing ground for the last several years as Vito's tweaked the compound.
So how do you apply it, and what temperatures do we need to apply it? Like, because, normal plaster, you really don't want to apply it when it's in the low 40s or below, if all possible, without covering and, making that area a lot more weather resistant.
Yeah, we have some of that. So real quick to answer your question about the chip down, because we're an 1/8 inch thick, you'll take a diamond wheel below the tile line and you'll just cut a little groove. The last pool I did myself, it took me about 20 minutes. Cut a little 1/8 inch groove below the tile and then just bevel it down and bevel the plaster down with a 4-inch diamond wheel or whatever you're using. And that makes room for the 1/8 inch of the plaster. And we don't want to be above 105 degrees when we're applying it. And we don't want to be below 40 degrees when we're applying it. And sunshine and keeping your product inside your garage or your shop or something like that does a world of good as far as the temperatures. So some guys, like we have a guy right now, actually, I think he stopped working 2 weeks ago when the cold snap hit Oklahoma, but he's been using it up until then, keeping the products warm, keeping our magic milk warm. And then the sun hits the pool and it's above 40. But you do need to still pay attention to overnight temperatures as we cure for that day. You want to make sure that it's not going to be, sub-zero or below freezing that night and that kind of stuff. So you do have a few temperature requirements. One of the greatest things about it is when
spider
I'm sorry.
cracking. So when you talk about temperatures, so whenever we apply the product and let's say it's super hot, because I'm in Texas and it's 100 degrees out, but it can with direct sun hitting that, are we going to get spider cracks and cracked in that?
Well, we haven't had issues with that, and we have one of our biggest applicators is in Phoenix, and they actually mix the material and put the bucket on top of a half bucket filled with ice, and then they go around and do their job. And some people do tent and shade if it's going to be insanely intense. But if we did spider crack, you could just go right back over it again with another coating, a 1/16 inch thin coating of skin, and that would take care of it. So it's very versatile in that respect.
Well, that's nice. So do they paint on? Do they trowel it on? How does the product get applied?
Well, all the masters that are, like I said, on the island of Capri and all over Napoli and different places, Milan, I've been to pools. They are all hand guys because, the whole European, Venetian plaster trowel guys. The method we found the very effective here that's quicker is a person goes ahead with a 1/4 inch nap roller, dips it into the skin. Now, this is assuming the foundation is already done. We can back up to that. But when the foundation is really nice and smooth and you're going to, paint the car or make the grand piano shiny, that you do with the Skin Microplaster, and they're dipping the 1/4 inch nap roller in and they're rolling the walls. Then a guy behind him's coming. We have these really cool trowels from Italy that are 1 millimeter thin. And we have they're made out of Lexan. And then we have them sourced here in the US also that are 2 millimeters, which are very thin and they bend. So you burnish it in and you just underwork the product 4 or 5 passes, and then you come across it or down it with a magic trowel, like Marshalltown has them. They're like a squeegee for cementitious products. And then you leave it alone and you continue around the whole pool. And most of the guys do the walls down and then they come back and do the floor out of the pool. So no spike shoes. And as it cures, then a lot of guys, like I have one guy that, we have the flex mesh. Basecrete has the mesh, and Skin line has flex mesh also. So I have one guy in Capri actually that he puts mesh on 100% of the pool when he does the skin. And I have many more guys that don't use mesh except for where they need them, where there was a crack that they repaired or where they have a plane change. If it wasn't monolithically poured, it just depends. And then one guy takes like this. I've watched him do it with 100 grits sandpaper emery cloth. And after he's done with the skin, he just does this really lightly around the whole pool. It takes him about 15 minutes. And then other guys just leave it the way it is. It's really smooth. It feels like, a lot of people say it feels like peach fuzz. So it's a beautiful finish.
Peach fuzz, huh? Peach fuzz is really like furry and soft, and I just want to cuddle with
it. It is cementitious, but it's just, it's incredibly soft. It feels like skin. It's pretty amazing. And that's one of the colors. I don't have a bunch of the colors in here, but we have we even have one that's bright red. We have deep blues, light blues. This one is sage green, and we have all kinds of grays. And the most popular color to date in Italy is called sand. And it is the color it sounds like it is. And so there's
let's talk about how it reacts. I love the color selection. I mean, the bad thing that we have, because I get some wild ass crazy. I've had customers ask for purple plaster. I've had clients ask for purple and pink plaster, so we do get some crazy, outrageous colors that are asked for. And of course, with standard plaster, even pebble, you can't.
Right.
I did find one manufacturer though that can manufacture weird colors if needed, to make it glass, but it's going to be a glass bead or it's going to be a full pebble. But that gets into very costly when we start to do that. So let's talk about the warranty of the skin. Let's talk about the longevity. And I'm assuming we can go over fiberglass pools, right? Because sometimes fiberglass wants to be, instead of be resurfaced, we can just apply the skin on fiberglass, I would assume, versus just plaster.
I have applied the skin on fiberglass, but we're not ready to advocate that just yet. We have independent lab tests done on all of it. The pull test, how it sticks. I have a lab test right now on ICF that are phenomenal, so you can do ICF swimming pools with it. And I have independent lab tests on polypropylene, which there's a company in Europe. They're in the U.S. now. They're called Panelton. They make structural panels, and there's people that make swimming pools out of them. And so we stick to polypropylene, which is what milk jugs are made out of. It's really slippery,
right?
And we figured out a way to treat that simply so that the skin sticks. And I think it was 180-pound pull test. I think it was. We were hoping to get 40 pounds, and we just blew it out of the water. And so we're on fiberglass now, and it's amazing. But I'm actually having a fiberglass manufacturer is going to run a whole bunch of tests on it at their factory, and then we'll come. But yes, I mean that is in the future. I just don't have the test results now, but we have a few people in the US that have had failed fiberglass gel coats that are going to put it on anyway, that they believe in it, and they've seen it, the samples of fiberglass, and it is sticking. But so right now we're not carrying that banner yet, but we're going to be, and I don't see any reason it's not going to be approved, and we just haven't gotten the pull test back from the lab.
Good. So what's the warranty on the skin and the longevity?
Well, the longevity, we think it's going to go on and on and on. The oldest project I've actually put my feet in the water in is 5 years. And I'll tell you what this project was. It's very interesting. Again, we're not advocating this particular application yet in the US because we're doing more tests, but it's commonly done right now in Italy. They 90% of their pools are vinyl liner pools with steel walls, and they pour the concrete floors. That's how they do it. That's 90% of their pools. So a lot of the applicators over there are taking out the vinyl liner and they're coating the whole metal wall pool with skin foundation and with the flex mesh that I was talking about earlier, and then they're skinning the whole project. So one client had them do that. It was a kind of a blob-looking pool from yesteryear. It was so old that they only had the hanging ladder. They didn't even have steps into the pool, so there's 2 hanging ladders on it. And they skinned the pool, and they liked it so much. The next year, they hired the applicator to come back and take out the hanging stairs and shoot a cake top steps into it, and then they just reskinned them, and they match perfectly because we're impervious, right? So we don't change. And then a year or 2 went by. It's 4 years it's been in the water. Then the 5th year was just this last summer, and I was there, and they hired the guy to come back and do their whole deck in it. And it's kind of expensive as a deck finish compared to like our on deck wearable surface waterproofing, but it's beautiful, and they're doing it a lot over there actually. So they actually
slippery for on deck.
No, it's not. And you just wouldn't probably, there are guys that sand it and polish it, like at a fire pit area that's not near the water, but no, it's got a nice feel to it. It's not like our on deck finished with a knockdown. That's much less slippery. I mean, so I've actually slipped, everyone listening probably has slipped on a wet spot on concrete, near the pool. Like you put the brakes on too hard, you're going to slip a little bit. No, it's not too slippery. And in fact, they're going right up with the foundation over the tile line. They're going over the existing coping and making all the grout lines disappear. And then they're putting skin, so it looks like monolithic finish all the way to the back of the coping. And that's what this client's pool was like. That's in Milan. It's been there 5 years. And then she was having them come back the next season when I was there a couple months ago, and doing their whole patio in it. So it's versatile. People are doing shower stalls with it. It's in the architectural space now. People are doing master bedroom floors with it because it feels really nice when you get out. And of course, it's got vapor ratings and permeation ratings. And so it's got all the chemical tests. Nothing bothers it that we've tested. They even have a rating from it from that red wine. After 30 minutes doesn't stain it. Now, we did a test the other day with coffee because that's on the tests too. It might have been this piece. We put some coffee on it, and I'm not telling people to abuse the product, but it's just amazing. And we were shooting for freeze-thaw cycle testing, trying to get 10 freeze-thaw cycles out of it. And that winter, we actually got 20. And it was on some smaller pieces like this. And then it got warm, and we let algae grow all over it. Well, it's impervious, so the algae couldn't take the. And it's on our videos on our Skin. If it's on the website or it's in our workspace for Skin, and then in the video they pick it up and they just rub the algae and it comes right off, clean, unbelievable, and it's been sitting there for weeks in this algae. Right.
So it's more sustainable to homeowners that don't know how to take care of their pool properly, where it's on the acidic side or corrosive side, where if that pH gets out of balance, the alkalinity gets out of balance, where it's not gonna stain, it's not gonna have the issues of normal plaster, and we don't have to acid wash, so we don't have the inconsistency going on after it's done. So it seems like you just trowel it on, mix it in a bucket like we do the Basecrete, right? And trowel it on, and then you let it dry, and then you fill it up, sounds like.
Well, that's close to accurate. So we ask people for 72 hours when they're finished with it to not put water in it. But once they put water in it, there is no startup. It's an impervious product, maybe like a fiberglass pool. So you just set your water chemistry and the customer takes off, so they don't have to send people back every day to brush the pool and vacuum the pool. There's no adding acid to the water, like you said. In fact, in the prep, which is much quicker, obviously the substrate has to be rectified, straightened around. But once that goes, the treatment of all the orifices and the tile lines and everything is much less work. And then you put the skin on, and then you're done. You just wait 72 hours and fill it with water, and off you go. So our commercial guys love that, because one company we work with in Gainesville, they did a big commercial pools, and they said it would take all of their workers that are in the field to open a pool and to do the startup, because it's so large and they have to scrub so many times. So they love it because they don't have to do that.
So you don't get plaster dust, you don't get the crazy pH alkaline, unless of course the fill source water is crap. So let's talk about that. So if the source water has high copper, high iron, magnesium, all of that goes into it, how does that product handle that?
Well, we have like I said, we have the stain testing chart that we've been doing for years, and all these things that are crazy, like I said, coffee and red wine and vinegar and chlorine and acid don't bother it. And so we're not sure if that would ever bother it, because we don't know. But right now it's pretty bomb proof, so that's not going to really hurt the skin. We're still not encouraging homeowners to go wonky with their pH and stuff like that and their total alkalinity, because obviously if everything else falls apart and the skimmer faceplate falls out, then there's going to be some ramifications. But the great thing about this, Heather, is, and we say skin breathes life into your pool. Once you put it on, if you use foundation and do a whole rebuild, or if it's new, or if you're just recoating existing plaster because it's solid, now it's waterproofed, and no chemicals come from the pool to get through the concrete to get to the rebar or anything else. So all the chemistry is, like Basecrete, its inventor is Vito, obviously, and Basecrete's recipes are in this, like I said, and the testing is even better in the finished product. It stops efflorescence and different things from coming through too. So it's pretty amazing.
So it's not leaching calcium like a normal plaster would during the hydration process, so that's great. It's not pulling that out, so it's not causing issues with the strength of it. That's
correct. Yeah, we don't do that. And I know some people are putting, anyway, the chemistry is something that's pretty sensitive. Like a lot of people are sealing new plaster with a colloidal silicate or something, and that seals the front of the plaster, but then you're not giving your plaster time to cure and breathe like you normally would. And so is that going to cause problems down the road? I think it might, but in our case, we just put it on cured concrete or cured plaster and off to the races. It's a different mentality though. So you're not making the pool messy to get your plaster to bond, and you're not. Now our skin foundation, you can use up to 2-inch lifts to build up. So if the pool's wonky and the steps aren't cut right, a new pool or an existing pool, and you want to straighten lines out, you can come up to 2-inch lifts. You can do it horizontally or vertical. The foundation itself is all waterproofing, and so you get the whole pool straightened out and foundation and smooth and looking just beautiful before you even put the skin on. And two things happen. One is your pool's already waterproof in the foundation, so your coating of skin can be a 16th inch. If your color is good, you can even go to, which is half of your material cost, you can just put a 16th inch over all the foundation and you're done. And if you're just using the skin, then we want 2 1/16 inch layers, and some of the applicators are putting on 1/8 at one time because they're very experienced at using the product. And then the pool is waterproof, so it's kind of like a double waterproofing if you're using the foundation, and that all stops the calcium and different things from coming out of the shell.
And stops the fluorescence and everything else that happens when these builders and
Right,
remodelers, people that are listening that don't waterproof the damn pools. I can't tell you how many times I have to go back and fix that. Oh my God.
The first one we did here was in Sarasota, where I am doing this workshop today, our first certification course in skin and on deck. And we did a pool a little while ago here, and it had like old school, what a lot of people might call butt-ass ugly pool tile. And so there was a discussion whether we should just cover the tile up because it's beautiful. When you don't need waterline tile with skin because it's impervious, right? That's the reason we have waterline tiles, that the chemical reactions don't assault the concrete or the plaster or whatever it is. Well, we're not worried about it. So in beach entry pools, for example, you can be dry. It can be dry. Like I said, it's in people's bedrooms and it's on people's patios and it's on walls and columns and it's in pools. So for water features and all that stuff, it's fantastic. And in Sarasota, the first pool we did had this tile. It was bluish color tile, and I kind of liked it because it was ugly enough that I thought it was kind of retro cool. Personally, I didn't make the decision, but the homeowner kept the tile. And once we changed it and put the skin on, and we used this beautiful Miami white we have. It's like a really bright white. It's like my shirt. It's beautiful. Then the tile looked really good. It really did. And if I was him, I would have done my tile. It made it pop and it looked really great. It's a, but it was still, sorry guys, but it was still kind of an old school, kind of uglyish, curvy pool. I don't think this guy will ever listen to this podcast, I hope, but he knew that. He just didn't want to do it.
He didn't know who we were talking about.
He didn't want to do a Genesis type major remodel and change the geometry of his pool. He just wanted to get his pool functional. He just bought the house, and but it was great. It made a pool that was a 4 look like a 7 or an 8, for the guy, and it's waterproof now. So that's
right.
Pretty cool.
So let's talk about how if we put mosaics at the bottom of the pool, right, or glow in the dark, because a lot of my clients like the glow in the dark mosaics, and like the one that we just did has a huge mosaic in the bottom of the pool. And then of course your main drain lines. So I personally use the pebble top main drain. So plaster goes on the top, so it's kind of hidden a bit. Can we put that in the pebble top? I'm assuming so. We just pour it in there and just smooth it out.
Absolutely. So on best case treatment for a pool that's going to receive a mosaic would be you do the foundation, the skin foundation that I was talking about on the pool, and you put it under it. Because it's a Basecrete family product, it also serves as a bond coat like Basecrete does, but where you're putting your mosaic, you wouldn't want to finish your foundation as smoothly as where you're going to put the skin. So you'd use a rougher texture finish when you put the foundation on. Now you have it's waterproofing, and it's also the bond coat to put the mosaic down. And then you, once the mosaics, and then you build your skin foundation up to a nominal distance from the top of the tile, and then you float it. And they do that marker tiles for steps and all that stuff too. And some guys I've seen, they have rubber strips cut, and they put the rubber strips in, and they put the skin in, they pull the rubber strip up, and then they put a different color skin in to mark like the noses of stairs on commercial projects and stuff. We're excited to see what all the creative people do with it.
I mean, it sounds cool. I mean, I've got people that want, a lot of people here use spas as the focal point. Like the one that we just built, oh, bless this little heart. She has a different tile inside the spa than she does the pool. Totally fine, right? No problem. But then she talked about doing a different color plaster in the spa than the pool, right? So be 2 completely bottle use water, 2 completely different tiles line. I'm like, you're not going to like that. I promise. Don't. It's a new build. Please don't do that. It's like, we can do different tile, no problem, you know. So we did, and then what I did is I just brought that tile from the spa into the pool as, you know, the spotter steps, because she's residential, she doesn't have to have. We did the ribbon line, but on commercial here, you know, you've got to have that separation with all of
Yeah.
the steps and the benches and the exits and all that. So that's really cool. Like if you did, because I love bright colors, not saying anybody do this, but I would do like a blue, and then I would do like a hot lime green
Yeah,
for
that'd be so sick.
for the
And you
steps.
could
It'd
do
be
that.
really cool.
We
Yeah,
have
and
some
then
artists
have the
that are,
white LED lights to pop it.
there you go. Yeah. Yep. And change colors and see what happens then too. So we have a real great artist person involved, and she's talking about doing art on the bottom of pools with the skin, because you can change colors. So, and there are people right now in Italy that have done different colored risers on the steps than the treads are. We have people that, one guy does different colored bottom on his pools than he does his walls. And the transition, it's not a cold joint, and you just do an overlap. Like I said, the foundation goes from lifts down to a feathered edge. And so the skin, when you apply it, when you want to kill the skin, so we usually go down the walls first into the bottom of the pool. So you go down the walls and you turn the corner and you bring it to a feathered edge a couple of inches into the floor of the pool. Then you take your other color or the same color, it doesn't matter, come back over with the skin and go right into the corner. Now you have a 2-inch overlap, and then it's completely sealed. So it's not a cold joint. And then if you have a little, so like I said in the beginning, you really want to underwork our product. So I'm saying 5 passes with the Lexan trowel, burnishing it in, and then the magic trowel, and then you'll leave it alone. And you keep moving down the pool, and the guy's rolling it out with a 1/4-inch roller. The guy's burnishing it in and grabbing his magic trowel and floating out it flat, and any trowel marks out. And then as it cures, and it's really easy to get the hang of it, any leftover tooling marks, you just take that little 100 grit emery cloth and you just rub them, or you even use that hockey glass, that Lexan trowel, and you can just scrape them right off. And it's nano particles inside of it, and there's quartz and ceramic beads that are baked with the color. They're so, when you feel it, Heather, it feels like it's dust or powder or flour. I mean, that's the actual proprietary aggregate. It's unbelievable. So every one of those little specks is coated with color. So when you remove a little bit of it or sand off a little bit, it's the same exact color behind it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that
you don't
is.
get any modeling.
So let's talk about the inedibles. So say, which is great, because we all know customers don't quite understand that no matter what, you know, any cementitious product that is plaster color, you know, you're going to get modeling with it no matter what. We can't prevent that. So let's talk about if a client, we install it, client's tired of it after 3 to 5 years and they want to remove it. How do we remove the product? And let's say they want to go back to plaster versus another skin. Do we hydroblast it like we do normal plaster? Because it's a paint, right? And technically, like we're painting over.
Yeah, we're not paint at all. Actually, it's a cementitious membrane waterproofing. So the compound, the dry compound does have, among other things in it, Portland and different things. It's a cementitious product. And so you could leave it alone and you could plaster over it. You could put a bond coat on it, like just put Basecrete bond coat on top of the skin and go to town, or you could chip it back out like you would a regular plaster. But we have had cases already in the 5 or 6 years where people sell a house and the new owners buy the house and it's skin and they want to change the color, and they can go right back in and reskin it. And then we've had a lot of cases where they put in brand new plaster and it's modeled like a setter. It's got a bathtub ring in there. They don't like it. And so then they skin it, because it takes up, in that case, if it's a good plaster job, you don't even need to use the foundation on it, because you're not building anything up, because it's solid plaster. It's just ugly or stained, or has berry stains. Right. And no hollows. And so then you can go right over. So that's pretty cool. Part of the product also.
Good.
Change the color.
Well, good. So we don't have to
get it red for Christmas or red for Valentine's Day, and then get it, you could change the color on your pool if you wanted to. And it costs money, but when you're all done,
everything
you don't have
money.
pallets of, we don't have any pallets of 80-pound bags and forklifts and mixing trucks and hoses running into the backyard, or wheelbarrow paths, God forbid. They take, for a typical pool here in Florida, say, call it 700 square feet, you carry in 7 10-kilo bags or buckets, depending on what you buy. So that's like 22 pounds each. So 7 buckets, you carry them into the bottom of the pool. And then to match one of the kits of skin dry compound is 2.5 liters of the magic milk, which is basically like a 2-liter Coke bottle, right? Carrying 7 of those.
Mm-hmm.
You mix it all in the bottom of the pool to drill, and you work your way out of the pool and you're done. So you don't have any of that labor. The cost is pretty competitive with just bottom line plaster as far as the material goes. And you take some extra time getting the foundation right, but you don't spend any money on all that other labor that you do for typical plaster. You don't have to move heavy things around, and then you don't have any startup. So you add it all together, and I think it's the most beautiful finish for the dollar that's available. And we could do your backdrop. We could get that color. Your backdrop is, if you want your pool to match that. Would you call that a magenta? Would you call that? Or
My purple and pink. Like, yeah, it's like a pinkish purple color. I'd have to look at the actual hex number.
I'm sure in the old days, I'm sure you've looked at the red pool study and stuff where, it's just pretty phenomenal. One of my favorite colors is like this soft lemon yellow. And I'm excited to see that work too. I always go through, I went to Minneapolis College of Art and Design, and many pool customers, you're trying to tell them, you don't need to have blue in your pool because blue's bouncing all over the sky more than any other color. And, what's blue going to do to the color you pick? And that red pool study, which got kind of famous in our Genesis 3 and all that stuff, it's a pretty cool study because it came out purple most of the time because you're throwing all the blue against the red walls. And, I think that
speaking of throwing in, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Christopher, but could you add like abalone shell or glass into this product to make it shimmer?
Well, I wouldn't do that myself, but we do, and we haven't even figured out a price matrix, but we do have ability to put a sparkle in it. That's a shimmer that's really beautiful. We just aren't going to market that way. If somebody has a really special project and they want that, then we'll get it blended for them with it. But it is possible, and down the road we might start having that. But right now the mentality was, as a legacy product, just flat, beautiful, smooth. Like, the last beautiful pool I got to design and build that was cast concrete was for an affluent fella, and it was super high. And we had the toe kick areas, so you couldn't see any orifices and stuff. And I had a hard time, Heather, getting someone to do just white marcite. I wanted this pool just to be white, smooth. I think that's the clean lines are really designed right now. It's certainly in Italy.
Yeah.
And if people want to go with sparkles, like of some sort, then it's definitely possible. We're just not carrying that in our regiment right now, but we do have it.
Okay. Oh, good. Yeah. Or the little glow in the dark, little beads, the glow in the dark that we throw into with Pebble, because all that gets thrown in only with Pebble, so that kind of limits.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. I have to think about that and see if we could get something that's reactive to the sunlight mixed into it. That would be pretty cool. In fact, you could do a whole pool.
I always push the glow in the dark. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, even your ideas, just imagine this when everyone that's creative and that's skilled out there in the US starts coming up with different ideas, we're going to get our minds blown. I like the stories from just the original Basecrete that Vito tells that, a guy did the bottom of his Volkswagen van in Basecrete because it was all rusted. And I've seen pictures. And then there's a guy in, I think, Michigan or somewhere that his hunting truck was all rusty. And I think he calls Vito every couple of years and say, I put another layer of Basecrete on my rust holes. Like who would have ever thought that you could do that? So Skin that looks beautiful. And Skin being a wearable surface and being beautiful, there's going to be so many different ideas. I like the gal that wants to do them. It is not paint and you have to apply it with tools and it is cementitious, but she wants to make these mosaics basically out of it with different colors. I could see someone doing dish style in a pool. Like obviously I like white pools, but with the red popping and the yellow popping and the blue, there's so many things you could do that you just can't do with any medium we have, out there right now in our industry.
Right. Yeah, so like bedded trucks, because the bedded trucks always rust because of chemicals. So instead of doing the spray liners, this would be a good alternative inside of a bed of a truck.
Yeah, it would be cool. And again, like, it does stick to steel. We have it on steel because we have a 30% flexibility rating, like Basecrete does and like On Deck does. And it sticks to steel, and we're putting it on stainless steel pools and stuff. So it's going to be exciting to see where it goes. I want to see somebody too. What I thought of whenever I'm at a pool, of course I'm crazy, but to start doing the pool one color and then just pour a different color on while you're troweling it in and get kind
of like tie dye.
Yeah, I was thinking Jerry Garcia style.
I would love that. I love my hubby Chris, the fighter. I told him next time I address him on my podcast, that's what I'll be. So he and I have completely different views on colors, right? He loves the blues and the subtle tones, and I'm all about the bright greens and yellows and bright stuff. So we have completely different color palettes when it comes to like when we go out to remodel clients and we're talking about colors to go back with, he's like more of the subtle and I'm like, let's go bold, right? Let's go,
Right.
let's go bright.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I'm like that too. Like I like the subtle colors and everything, but now, you should get some purple going in your shower and see how you like it. Like
we're selling our house. So my shower is off limits until we move. I'm like, I can't wait to sell my house. Anyways, so let's talk about the last one. Cause we talked about longevity. I know y'all can't really do, an exact amount for right now, cause it's still, not that old product, but let's talk about warranties. So let's say a client installs this and a year and a half, 2 years goes by and it's starting to come off the walls or color's starting to fade or whatever it may be. How do y'all address that? What's the warranty on it? What's the process for that?
Well, the warranty is 5 years and it's 7 years if you're an approved applicator, which is what our class is that I have to get to in a few minutes. But, and then if there is ever a problem, like if the substrate, we do have the flexibility, but if the substrate cracked and you had to put in some stitches to fix the pool or something, then you can go back and repair that area. Since it's so thin, you can repair it and just feather edge it back into the existing thing. So if there was an issue like that, then that would be, we actually have one builder that sends out a little repair kit, leaves a little repair kit of it in little, like, ironically, in like little empty makeup containers he gets from Walmart or wherever he gets them. And he puts in some of the magic milk and he puts in some of the powder and they have a repair kit there. And so somebody that's reasonably talented could repair something if it ever occurred. And that's pretty cool.
Well, great. Well, I think that answers all of my questions that I have. I mean, it sounds like an amazing thing. Lastly, can you send out to contractors sample colors as to like what it feels like in some of the colors?
Well, we're a little behind on that because this has all happened since March is when we decided to release it in Vegas in November, which is where we did announce it. And we're a little behind the curve. We have all of our colors, being in a product photography studios, getting shot to put them on the internet. We're making as many samples as we can. This is a sample and it's made on a subway tile that's glass, that's shiny. And it's just applied on here. And you can see it's sticking to a porcelain tile that's shiny. It's no sanding or anything. So we're making these as fast as we can and trying to get these to people, just like the people that are leaving this surgery are all getting one of these tiles. We don't have sets and sets and sets of them yet. We're working on getting them backed up. We have a try me price on it if someone wants to do one pool with it. And then we have our approved applicator program where, where there are guys that are focusing on using skin and they're consuming more product and they get that price. But we do have a try me price on it. And we have several people, like one guy ordered 120 square foot worth to do like a small water feature because he wants to see it and solicit it. And then a lot of our applicators, when they're doing a pool, they're getting some tiles, and when they mix it up, they're making their own samples to show it. So we do have some, but they're in short supply right now. If I got 100 calls right now, I don't have 100 tiles. I'd have to get them made up and get out. But if 100 people called and wanted a try me kit, we could supply that.
Okay, great. Let's talk about how they become the approved applicator. What's the process for that?
Well, the approved applicator is the desire is that they purchase upfront enough product to do approximately 10 pools, which is about 8,000 square feet worth. We're figuring 800 square feet a pool, and then they keep it rolling. And then, because we're new and trying to get people to use it, if they come to one of our training and get an approved applicator certificate, then we're letting them order less material as they need. But if they want to own a territory or have a protected territory, then they have a schedule that they need to keep up with, like some of the other plaster companies do.
Yeah, so it's just in that area. That's neat. So when they do the training, they physically come to your location. Y'all don't come to them.
Well, we're scheduling this coming year. We'll have 6 around the U.S. We'll do one in the West and one in the Southwest, and we're doing one in the Midwest, and we're having another one March 1st. By the way, March 1st and 2nd, I don't know when we're going live, but here in at Basecrete headquarters in Sarasota, we're having one in March 1st and 2nd. So we'll do Atlantic City, and then we'll do Under the Sun in Orlando, and all the people that come through there, we'll be inviting them to this course, and then they would be an approved applicator after they learn about it. Kind of the thought between the protected territories is not just to be an incentive that they can be the only one in their area. Obviously, if it's Dallas, there's going to be more than one applicator, or LA or someplace. But in a smaller market, that's part of the incentive.
We don't need more than like 3 in Dallas. We don't need more than like 3. We got it. We got it.
Right. Well, that's fine. I mean, that's what we're saying. But one's not enough for some markets, and so we want people to work together. But my main thrust is like I've dealt with plenty of retail pool customers, and, we've done $1 million pools, and we've done just, we used to try to do plain ugly pools and trying to figure out what the best way to manage customer relations was to not get yelled at too often and stuff. So our whole concept between the approved applicator is we want you to come learn how to use it, or we'll come to where you guys are and use it. Some guys, we go out there, they're the first pool they do. It takes some intellect. Like, there's a way to do it, and it's not the same as plaster. So it's counterintuitive to people that are plaster guys, and people that are, not trained in any way. Then they learn the right way, and we're trying to manage and mitigate, in the future, failures or complaints or phone calls, 1 million phone calls, or people, we just want people to understand the product and then have some experience applying it. And then when they're an approved applicator, then they can learn all the things that we've talked about on this whole podcast, as far as all the different uses, and if they want to do BW, busting it.
Agreeable, because there's so many different things. Like, there is a product that I'm sure you've heard of it, the Rebound product, that is
right.
People use it in a commercial where it's like the rubbery, that goes. And I like to use that product for the decking because it's not slippery. You can do any colors with it, but inside of the swimming pool is not so great. But when we have clients that want to quote unquote re-fiberglass without re-fiberglassing, that's a good product to use to go over that fiberglass product. But it's so thick, and their pellets in the application with throwing, it's a pain in the ass to do. Versus, this is just a lot easier to do with. You've got all the colors, it's smooth, it's not rubbery, so it shouldn't be slippery. So it's great, and it's waterproof, so it's
right.
It's really cool. I like it. When Vito, first told me about this, I'm like, Vito, no way. He's like, yes. I'm like, yay.
Yeah, we've been salivating about it for years and talking about it for years, and I'm just really glad it's finally going, because it is it's one of the, we go through these dry spells in the pool industry where nothing really new happens and everyone's in the same old, and that's what, do you remember when that was broken stone patios was the thing for a while, and everyone wanted to have flagstone patios, and it was the thing. And then cut stone and shape stone and precast stone and different things started. Well, we've been kind of in a stagnant area for the insides of our pools, in my opinion, for a while. And then to have something that's so high end come out, it's coming up in the pool industry, Heather, which is unique travel for ingenuity and products. It's coming out of this pool space and going into general construction space, because unlike Europe, micro cements and microplasters aren't really that prevalent in the United States. So we're actually coming out of the pool space into the construction industry, where usually we get our products, it seems like, in reverse, where they would use them in general construction and we figure out a way to apply them to our pools. So I like that too.
Right. Yeah. And there's so many different things, like I said, you get the trucks, you get the deck, you get the pools, you can have rooftops, you can have your patio, your outdoor kitchen area, your countertops. I mean, there's so many things that's coming into, backsplashes and kitchens. And if you want just a cool little paint mosaic on the backsplash, I mean, that's so thing. Well, Christopher, I thank you so much for taking the time and talking with us about this. And I will let clients know.
Special guests come in.
Hi, Vito.
I'm here to sign autographs, and then you can let me go.
That's right. That's
Heather,
right.
thank you.
So,
thank you, Chris.
We're gonna do her when she gets her new house. We're gonna get her a skin shower in purple. If her husband, it has to be your shower, Heather. Make sure you buy a house with your own color palette space. So
2 separate showers.
Yeah, right.
2 separate showers. If it's gonna be mine, it's gonna be bright yellow and like lime green and blue. I just love
we have those colors.
So.
We have those colors.
Yeah,
I know.
It's going to work out just good.
I know. Chris is like, We should make it in your magenta with your yellow color. That'd be really cool. I'm like, yeah, it's the Talking Pools. It's the Talking Pools logo color. So I love it.
That's
Well,
right.
I'll tell you what, when you get your pool ready, it's on me, us.
Aw, thank you. I appreciate it.
That's awesome. We have to go
Love
sort
it.
of
Because I'm excited to try it.
Well, good. Well,
Yep.
hopefully we'll see some of you.
Christopher and Vito. Yeah, thanks for joining me. Thanks for talking about it. If y'all have questions on where to get the product, reach out to Vito, call Basecrete directly.
Actually, yeah, or go to skinmicroplaster.com and call Christopher. That's our deal. Vito says call Vito before, but now he wants him to call Christopher because his phone is like burning up.
Heather,
Don't call his cell phone, call his office.
Yeah, and I'll be happy to give you my phone number if you wanted to, Heather.
Yeah, go ahead and tell the people how to contact you.
It's my phone number. My personal phone number is 949-899-3353. 949-899-3353. And then my wife is actually the owner of Skin Microplaster LLC, and her number, she's Susan, and her number is 949-537-6815. And we do not live in Laguna anymore, but we still have our phone numbers. San Clemente, actually.
Okay, well, perfect.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for but joining me.
Right.
And until next things, well, again, thanks listeners for listening. If y'all have any questions, get in touch with Christopher, shoot him a message on his cell phone or go to their website and they'll be more than happy to answer them. Until next week, have an amazing day.
Cheers. Thank you.
Bye, Chris. Thanks.
Bye. Appreciate you. Nice to
Bye.
meet. Bye.
You too.